Hello and welcome to Stupid Ancient History with Midgley
and Taylor and our resident expert, non-expert and special guest James the Science Toolboy.
Hello.
As always, we're wearing togas, we're in a small tiny room, and today we're going to look at Darius's campaign against the Scythians, or Scythians. Previously, when we've covered the various achievements and going-ons of Darius the First,
or Darius the Great, as he liked to call himself, let's not forget that.
Yeah, subtle man. Darius the Great, God King, King of Kings, King of the land, and so on.
Blah, 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 blah. Basically.
That guy.
I from now on insist you read the full title each time you refer to him.
You don't want the title yourself then?
What?
James the Science Toolboy, God King, King of Kings, King of the land in the science prep room.
I mean, if you're going to give it me, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, what's up?
Just things, it take a long time to talk to anyone.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the point. So anyway, all these goings-on have been relating to rebuilding and rebranding the empire.
And his unusual rise to the throne in the first place.
Yes, also the fact that he took the throne by force.
By a horse.
Shush. And to crush the various rebellions as a result. So it's all been Darius looking after his empire.
So you've kind of, with the other two, they were always constantly expanding and growing. He's seemingly been quite quiet. He's not really had started a fight with anyone. I think you said earlier that's going to change.
Yeah. So there's a great expectation on Persian kings, following the high bar that Cyrus had basically set, to head out and go and conquer new lands to prove themselves a worthy king. Now, obviously, this doesn't just apply to the Persians. This idea of a show of military strength and might is something that's seen as a key characteristic of a really good, strong leader in lots of different cultures and different countries. So that isn't that much of a shocker. It's also highly likely that the empire needed to bring in more kind of halls of plunder and resources to maintain its level of opulence. If you think about his palaces, how big they are, how fancy they are, he's going to need to keep that money coming in from somewhere to pay for them.
Rather than building a healthy economy, just go nick it from someone else.
Yeah, why not?
That's what every imperialist thinks.
True.
But, I mean, the big problem Darius has is geography.
Okay. Is because he's already taken over most of the land?
Well, yeah, I mean, because of the expansion of Cyrus and Cambyses, Persia had expanded to what you could look at as kind of the extent of its natural borders.
Okay.
There was very few places Darius could go. If you went south, you're looking at the Sahara Desert, and we know that didn't work out well for Cambyses. If you go west, you've got to cross the sea and go and deal with the Greeks. They don't seem particularly keen on that. If you go further east, you're into India and the Himalayas and deserts and jungles. It's all quite difficult. So Darius is in a bit of a position that he does want to expand, but the big question is where to.
You didn't mention north.
I didn't mention north, but again, if you go north, you're going into the steppes, this cold, barren, flat region of southern Ukraine and Russia. So
right.
He's kind of scuppered.
It's not so much that there's not land there, it's just it's not land worth having.
Right. Okay.
Or is easy to get to.
Yeah.
So poor old Darius has nowhere to go, basically.
Yeah, and it seems even his wife Atossa is having
I forgot about Atossa.
She's a very important woman.
I'm sure she is, with an incredible name.
But anyway, even his wife Atossa starts having a pop at Darius. And Herodotus tells us,
My lord, with the immense resources at your command, the fact that you are making no further conquests to increase the power of Persia must mean that you lack ambition. Surely a young man like you, who is master of great wealth, should be seen engaged in some active enterprise to show the Persians that they have a man to rule them. Is he basically just kind of lay around on the sofa at home, not doing much at the moment, just ordering his building projects, and she's like, get out and go and prove yourself and do something useful, you lazy ass.
That's the picture we're given, and also this conversation happens while they're in bed. And it's just like, he can't escape from this. Wherever he goes, nice sleep.
She clearly feels quite secure, because Cambyses wasn't great to his wives, was he?
No.
So she obviously either is she just that comfortable he won't do anything to her, or does she think Darius that weak? Or...
Well, bear in mind that she was Cambyses' sister, so she's probably thinking, I've dealt with crazy before. Whatever you bring, I've dealt with it before. But yeah, I mean, admittedly, Atossa is trying to get Darius to man up
his game a bit.
Up his game, go out and be a good Persian king. And she's actually, in this instance, she's trying to get Darius to invade Greece.
Okay, why Greece?
Well, obviously because of a little plot she's hatched with her doctor, who happens to be Greek.
A doctor?
Yep.
Okay, why does the doctor want Darius to invade his own country?
Because he's had some to do with the people back in Greece, and he's thinking it as a revenge plot. But Darius has another idea. The Scythians.
Okay.
Or we should point out, can be pronounced the Scythians. Scythians is probably easier to remember how to spell it, because it's got a cheeky C in it. But yeah, he's got his eye on someone to expand to.
I'll ask the obvious question. Who are the Scythians?
We'll get to them, but we need to talk about something else first.
Every time.
I know, we just like keeping you waiting, that's what it is. So Darius sends some expeditions out to edge his borders further, and he captures part of the Indus Valley in the east.
So that's the border with India. So he's putting some feelers out. More importantly, though, he captures the Hellespont in the west and parts of Thrace. The Hellespont is really, really important because this is the shortest distance by water between effectively Asia and Europe.
Okay.
So it's this tiny little strait between Persia and Thrace and northern Greece. So if you're wanting to cross to the west, you're going to need the Hellespont.
Okay.
Massively important for trade. But these minor conquests are nothing compared to what he has planned.
Is that the Scythians?
The Scythians.
I'll ask the question again. I doubt I'll get an answer. Who are the Scythians?
No, you will get an answer this time,
good.
James. So the Scythians occupy vast areas of land to the north of Darius' empire in a region called the Steppes. So it's a vast, flat and pretty barren part of the world. It's not unlike the Great Plains in the USA, so it's basically a big grassy desert.
Sounds lovely. And why does he want it?
Well, I mean, it's not terribly fertile, but it is almost like the gateway to the land beyond the Black Sea.
So he's kind of got to take it on the chin and get a naff bit so he can go for it.
Yeah, I mean, also, it's not the Sahara Desert.
Well,
it's
great.
not the Himalayas. On the list of things that are easier to conquer, it's not ideal,
Yeah.
but it's not a disaster. And again, it's worth pointing out here that the Scythians, some of them are already part of Darius' empire. And one we saw in the Behistun inscription, the guy in the Santa hat, is a Scythian.
Right, okay.
But it's clearly not all of the Scythians. So they have this in-out relationship. Some are part of the empire, it seems. Some are not part of the empire.
So at this point, the Scythians, are they like united under one rule, or are they kind of bit scattered?
Because they're quite nomadic, they're scattered all over the place.
Right, okay.
So there's a lot more Scythians yet to conquer.
Okay. Alright, I think this is my third time asking now. You've told me nothing where they live. Who are the Scythians?
I think we better tell him now.
Yeah.
So the Scythians are a somewhat kind of nomadic people. So they're not dissimilar to the North American Sioux or the Dothraki on Game of Thrones.
So kind of horse people.
Yeah, so the land that they live on has massive kind of implications for how they live. So they have to adapt. So they live a very kind of nomadic lifestyle. That's right, isn't it, Mr.
Yeah,
Mitchell?
they can't farm the land. They don't really have big cities or settlements. They travel, they hunt, they have to be on the move from water source to water source, really.
Okay.
And similar to the Sioux and so on, while they're regarded as skilled horsemen and warriors, it seems that the Persians, either because of regular border raids or what they know of the Scythian lifestyle, see them as a sort of somewhat primitive people, a bit like bandits.
Okay, so in Darius's mind, if he heads north, you can just kind of steamroll over them.
Steamroller over them, sweep them out of the way. They have no standing army
Yeah.
to speak of. They have no grand fortifications or palaces. It's just them on some grass doing their weird Scythian thing, to Darius's mind. And Herodotus actually has a really nice description of them. Taylor, are you ready?
Yes. So Herodotus says, The Scythians blind their slaves, a practice in some way connected with the milk which they prepare for drinking, in the following way. They insert a tube made of bone and shaped like a flute into the mare's anus and blow. So bad. Shut up laughing. And while one blows, another milks. According to them, the object of this is to inflate the mare's veins with air and so cause the udder to be forced down. Sounds lovely. Not painful at all. They make the blind men stand round in a circle and then pour the milk into wooden casks and stir it. The part which rises to the top is creamed off and considered the best. What remains is not supposed to be so good. The reason why they blind their prisoners of war is connected with the fact that the Scythians are not an agricultural people, but nomadic. So basically they can't see to run away.
They can't see to run away.
Yeah, never know where they are.
Because I was thinking, like, you said that the blinding the slaves tied into this milk.
Yeah.
At no point did that really marry up.
No.
Maybe
So it'd be a bit difficult to use the bone flute if you were blind.
Yeah.
All I know is that I would not drink that milk, and I certainly would not want to be that cow or whatever
It's
it
a
is.
horse.
Horse. Sorry, I just think of milk, cow. You know.
Not to the Scythians.
Yeah, no, I would not want to be that horse.
What do they do with the cream?
They drink it.
Ugh.
It's the best bit apparently. But yeah, I mean, the milking horses, which there's a reason people don't generally milk horses.
They use it for afternoon tea, James.
Yeah, so they've got this weird practice of milking horses because they don't really have a lot of cattle.
Right.
They've got a weird practice of how they do it, which further makes them seem quite...
Bit odd.
Yeah, and then obviously this practice of blinding slaves, which seems quite barbaric.
Yeah.
So this is why Darius thinks, this will be easy.
Did you learn nothing?
Apparently not. And then we get to war. So Darius amasses a tiny army of around 700,000 men from across his empire.
That's a tiny army.
Yeah, all right. It's probably a massive army. The numbers are probably exaggerated as well. One thing you'll find whenever it comes to someone fighting the Persians, the numbers are always massively exaggerated. Bear in mind, it's the Greeks who are writing about the Persians, so if they fight off a much bigger Persian army,
They seem better.
they seem more heroic. But also the Persians, if you think about ancient armies having their one USP or their one superpower, the Persians' strength was always their numbers. The size of the empire meant they had more men than anyone else. So you have this sea of Persian soldiers. You know, no one's going to stand there and count them individually. They'd be there forever. Also, people keep moving.
And someone would probably try and stab you.
And someone would probably try and stab you.
So, anyway, he amasses his kind of reasonably sized. Does that suit you better, James?
Why not?
Reasonably sized army and heads towards free Scythian territory, clearly feeling pretty confident. So the main natural barrier between the two peoples, however, was the River Danube.
Which is not really something you can swim across.
No.
Do you not just fight it?
Like Darius, you mean?
Like Cyrus.
Cyrus, sorry, not Darius. No, not really. So he was a little bit more sensible, and he built a bridge.
It's so boring.
So, although Darius is pretty confident, he's not a complete fool. So the last thing he wants, if for anything to happen to this bridge, is for anything to happen to this bridge, that's Mr. Midgley, typo.
Sorry.
So that would be a disaster, because obviously he wouldn't be able to resupply his troops if he didn't have the bridge there.
He'd be stranded.
He'd be stranded, yeah. So to make sure nothing happens to the bridge, he leaves a force of Ionian Greeks and Lydians guarding it.
Greeks. I thought,
It's the Ionian Greeks are part of the Persian Empire. It's the people, the Lydians who Croesus was the king of, Cyrus conquered them. They are ethnically Greek, but they are part of the Persian Empire.
Right, okay.
So they speak Greek, they do Greek things, but they're part of his empire.
Okay.
But this is quite important because it gives us an idea of how much he trusts his people. So it might not seem a big deal, but guarding this bridge is pretty essential. And to leave it to a group of people who are not ethnically or traditionally part of his inner circle shows that degree of trust. He doesn't leave his hardcore Persian guards guarding it. He leaves these other Greek guys.
Is that the point, to kind of try and make them feel grand by,
Yeah.
look how much I trust you.
Yeah, and also they all know what's going to happen if they fail.
Sure.
And the guy they leave in charge of the Ionians is the Tyrant of Miletus, Hysterius.
Why are we calling him a tyrant?
It's not because he's a mean guy.
Yeah.
Tyrant in this sense means kind of single ruler, sole ruler.
Okay.
It's a different way of saying like a king, but without the monarchy title.
Right, okay. Go.
So, leaving the bridge safely in Greek hands, Darius heads off to attack the Scythians. And the main problem he has is that since the Scythians are largely nomadic, they have no cities that Darius can capture, so there's no focal point.
No,
so
it's just having a wander.
Yeah, it's
Right,
a bit
okay.
like him just marauding around trying to capture different campsites, and everyone's packing up their quick pack up tents and running off.
Yeah, you can imagine it's like, Darius, where are we going? Over there, they're over there. Oh.
So he's basically just bimbling about this country.
Yeah, pretty much. And the problem he has is the Scythians, they tend to run off when they see Darius's massive, slow, and increasingly hungry army turn up on the horizon. They take one look and go, not fighting that.
Fair enough.
Or as Herodotus explains,
So the Scythians marched out to meet Darius, sending their best horsemen in advance. The wagons, which served as houses for the women and children and all the cattle, except what they needed for food, were ordered to move northward at once in advance of their future line of retreat. The advance guard made contact with the Persians about 3 days' march from the Danube, and at once encamped at a distance of a single day's march in front of them, devastating the land. The Persians, on the appearance of the Scythian cavalry, gave chase and continued to follow in their tracks as they withdrew before them.
Okay, so they're just kind of like luring them in.
yeah, they're literally just going, chase me, chase me, chase me. And Darius is absolutely falling for it.
Yeah.
Because he can't cut them off, he can't sack their town. And it's completely working for the Scythians, because ordinarily you think the size of Darius's army would be an advantage, this massive army that no one wants to fight. But in this situation, it's becoming more of a problem than a benefit.
He's got to feed them.
He's got to feed them, they're not particularly fast moving, and they're a big target. It's not like they can sneak up on the Scythians.
I'm guessing the further they kind of get drawn into the Scythians' country, they're stretching their supply lines.
Absolutely, they are more in unknown territory, they are ill supplied, they don't know where they're going, and the Scythians are absolutely leading on a merry dance.
And it's like we said, isn't it, that it's this idea of a guerrilla. Don't think we said about this yet, have
No,
we?
but you're right, it's guerrilla warfare.
It's guerrilla warfare. So if you look at different conflicts through history, if you've got a large army, sometimes that's more of a hindrance, because you're going into kind of hostile alien territory, which is very, very different, and they understand how to fight in that environment and you don't. So if you think about things like Vietnam, you think about even further back than that in the American Wars of Independence, when the British went in to kind of the American frontier, and then even further kind of forward, and you think about Iraq and Afghanistan, a large force of men is sometimes not a benefit. It's something that kind of holds you back, because you're a larger target and you're slower, so you're not able to kind of keep up, and eventually you'll just get picked off and picked off and picked off, so you're ending up with not
Nothing.
enough people there to fight.
Nothing but a bum food.
Yeah.
So the Scythian tactic is clearly having an effect on Darius. And Herodotus actually tells us of an interesting series of messages between Darius and the Scythian king. He says,
Finding no end of this, Darius at last dispatched a rider with a message for the Scythian king. Why on earth, strange man? A bit rude. The message ran, do you keep on running away? Persian, he replied, I have never yet run from any man in fear, and I am not doing so now from you. There is, for me, nothing unusual in what I have been doing. It is precisely the sort of life I have always led, even in times of peace.
So he's just, yeah, I'm just doing what I'm doing, mate.
Yeah, he's saying I'm a nomad, deal with it.
Yeah.
and don't call me strange man.
Yeah, this is what I do. I wander around.
So nonetheless, the Persians are drawn further and further in.
So it doesn't help that the Scythians keep leaving a trail of random cows for the Persians to follow.
What?
So
it's like breadcrumb trails, isn't it? You've got a hungry army going, oh, there's a cow over there.
beef trail. Oh, that's a sirloin. Yummy.
There are some things I never thought would become common phrasing, like brother, husband, and sister wife, and now beef trail.
So is this why they have to mess about with a bone fluke? They're leaving all their cows lying around as like decoys.
But it's a lure. They're just like leaving them little crumbs going, come this way. Oh, look, there's some cows. And the Persians are falling for it.
Fast food, that's what that
I'd
is.
say, I imagine, even if it's a trap, they find a cow, they eat it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them.
So Darius then makes the mistake of suggesting the Scythians are to be enslaved.
And they don't like that.
No.
Who did he make the suggestion to? Another
To
message?
them. He sends
Right,
another
okay.
message, basically saying, pack it in, or I'm going to enslave all your people.
It's a bit of an empty threat if you can't catch them,
Well,
isn't it?
yeah, but they don't like it. So in response, they then start more aggressively attacking the increasingly frustrated Persians. But they're very careful never to engage the Persians in kind of open battle. There's no
Right.
pitched battles. They're just
No.
constantly chiseling away, waving cows at them.
And this is like what we were saying before about guerrilla tactics.
Yeah.
That is the idea. And you don't have an open battle at all. You just pick them off one by one.
And if you want to lure someone down a certain path,
Leave some cows.
beef trail.
Beefy trail.
So, with the increasing hostility of this ongoing guerrilla warfare on the part of the Scythians, they're actually able to push Darius back to the Danube. And as the Persians retreat, the Scythians are effectively surrounding them and getting close to encircling them, which is all kinds of bad.
Yeah.
And news of this reaches the bridge where those Ionian Greeks have been left defending it.
So the Scythians arrive at the bridge first and attempt to convince the Greeks to destroy the bridge and trap Darius forever.
Trap him, but he'll
him.
never get out.
Yeah. So the Greeks, as they like to, debate what to do about the bridge. Do they defend it and stick with Darius, or do they burn it and actually go over to the Scythians?
Bloody Greeks.
Always, yeah, in the middle of the war. Hang on, lads, hang on. We need to discuss this. In the end, though, Hystaius convinces the other Ionian Greeks to defend the bridge. And he does this by pointing out that none of them, the important tyrants and satraps, none of them would be able to maintain their position as tyrant if Darius fell. So he points out their success is massively tied up in supporting the Darius
It's in their
project.
best interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because it is in their best interest, they do decide to defend the bridge. And it's just in the nick of time because Darius and the rest of the mighty Persian army appear over the horizon and are safely able to retreat back to Persia.
And this now also means that Hystaius is Darius' new little hero because he saved his life from terrible things to be done to him by the Scythians.
Lovely.
So the last thing we need to do is obviously do some kind of consideration or thinking about this, should we say, highly successful campaign against the Scythians.
Not really.
Yeah, it went really well for him.
Yeah, apart from no. I mean, the problem Darius has was, we've said earlier, geography. There's no easy conquests. If you want to be really brutal about it, Cyrus had an easy ride of it. He went round deposing kings that no one seemed to like.
Yeah.
So he didn't have any major difficulty with that. Darius has got an entirely different matter in that there's nowhere left to conquer apart from crazy Scythians.
I mean, it seems like a good problem to have.
Yeah, and also you get the idea that to some extent he's sort of pushed into it
Oh, by a tosser.
by a
It's
tosser.
not, I mean, it's not a very well planned invasion, is it? Because
No.
he should have known the type of thing that he was walking into and that his normal tactics were not going to work and that he needed to have a rethink and do something different. But it just makes him look really weak because he's just
Yes.
been sent packing and that
Yeah.
is not good.
That's not the God
How-
King, King of Kings, King of the land,
No,
but
that's
not
the
the
wimp.
Scythians.
That's the wimp king running away with your tail between
Do we
your legs.
know how long this campaign lasted for?
Herodotus doesn't give us exact dates, but it's a period of time. It's no more than a year,
Right,
really. Which is a good job. Can you imagine how bad it'd be if we
Yeah.
spent
You
years
can
at
also
this?
imagine a tosser, can't you, when he gets home, just being like, see, told you were useless.
Again, another insight into the domestic setting of Helen and Barry. Yeah, I mean, again, on paper, if you want to be really cold and harsh about it, Darius is now less good than Cambyses.
Yeah.
Cambyses at least conquered Egypt.
He did something.
He did manage to expand the territory. Poor old Darius. Alright, Cambyses lost 50,000 men in the desert.
Lost.
Darius ran away. So,
Yeah.
it comes with a lot of negative connotations. Darius being Darius, though, clearly this is not going to be the end of it for him. You'd think someone like him, he's not going to take it, but that's it.
Had no one ever really gone to open war with the Scythians before? Did he have nothing to compare this to?
He probably will have done, but
He just
whether
chose not to learn from it.
chose not to do that bit of homework.
Right, okay.
So yeah, the Scythian campaign is just about one of the most disastrous things you could hope to have as a
Except
Persian
from
king.
losing 50,000 men in the desert.
Yeah, but again, Cambyses still expanded.
He did something, and then it all went wobbly.
Poor old Darius, maybe you should just get back to building palaces. So, there you have it. A quick look at Darius's disastrous campaign against the Scythians, and also how to milk a horse.
Life skill.
Thank you very much for listening. We hope this has been useful. Leave us a comment below, and until next time, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.